Hi and welcome. I'm so glad that you could make some time to stop by for a visit. So as I was going through my own tarot reading for the day, I thought maybe I'd share one with you. I haven't chatted with you for several days. I've been busy reading and doing some of my own stuff. Sometimes I need to just be a bit of a recluse, a bit of a hermit. That's me at the core. So as excited as I am to be able to make some videos and connect with you, sometimes I need to just take a few days to do something, for myself. So that's what I've been doing because it's been a long weekend, and so yeah, I just sort of took my energies and restored. So here we are. This is the deck I'm going to be using today to share a reading with you. If I can fix the glare. There's the box. It's called the Mystic Dreamer Tarot by Heidi Darras. So I will put that aside. And you see my butterflies here. I love this. This is just a scarf that I got that was thrifted. And of course with the butterflies, a sign of transformation. Works perfectly for me, butterfly magic. So here we go. I'm just going to do a simple 3-card spread and chat about standard meanings. I'm going to put that here. There we go. We got the 4 of Swords. We have Strength. And the 8 of Pentacles. This is lovely. This is a lovely reading here. Put that up there. Now I'm hoping that you can hear me. So with the 4 of Pentacles, I mean, perhaps I should. You can always compare it against the standard Rider-Waite. You can hear my dog whining behind me here. If you hear some whiny sounds, that's who it is with her little paws walking by. So the 4 of Swords, if you compare it to the standard Rider-Waite, let me give you a little bit of a close-up. There, it's a bit of a glare. So you're seeing the stained glass window. It's much larger than that you see in the standard Rider-Waite deck. But you still see the image of the person lying in state down below. Now there are a few differences here. Usually with the Rider-Waite, what I think I'm seeing is a sarcophagus, where historically soldiers would make their own sarcophagus and then go off to war, and then of course if they died, then their casket would be waiting for them before, as they come back. And apparently they used to lie down in that sarcophagus and meditate before going off to fight the next day, which sounds pretty creepy to me, but that's the information that I've come across. In this depiction, though, you see somebody who's lying down, and the idea here is still that of being in a state of rest or meditation, contemplative state. Sometimes this card can look at a state of forced rest. So are you right now in a position where you are feeling like you are having to take a break from something in your life, something that you need to take some time away from? So a forced rest, perhaps due to illness, or maybe it's a retreat. And it might be a good time, actually, if you're not being forced to do so, to actually take some time away and just get a different perspective on things, regain your own mental and your physical strength, and sometimes taking a bit of a retreat. I guess, yeah, sort of like what I did this weekend. I spent the last several days, instead of making the videos that I wanted to get done over the long weekend, I took some time just for myself to sort of meditate and to read and to retreat and to be with family, and just to really do not a lot of push. So that's kind of what this card is suggesting. Also, there's a number 4 It's the Four of Swords, and 4 is the number of stability. This is like, if you can picture, you know, four legs on a table, it would be a lot more sturdy to have a table with 4 legs than, for instance, a table with 3 legs. So you can think of the stability that you would gain by regaining your strength through contemplative sort of a retreat. So this is the card where you end up taking some time out for introspection, to understand perhaps some things that have been going on in your life recently, and you might take a look at your life from a bird's eye view. What I like talking about from a bird's eye view, like you know, if you were perhaps from a divine standpoint, the greater sort of image of it all. What is it all for? Get a better perspective on things from an objective point of view. This is what your time away or your time out is made for. It's sort of a voluntary kind of isolation or seclusion, where you can reflect on where you're going and where you've been and the meaning of it all. The shadow aspect, perhaps, of this card would could mean that you are retreating, but although retreating could be good to regain your strength, the shadow aspect would probably include retreating to avoid facing something that might be quite challenging. So you might want to look at the shadow aspect of this as it applies to something. And I guess part of what that would mean is, are you taking time out voluntarily, you know, to step away from the chaos or having to make a decision, or something that's facing you that you'd rather not have to deal with, so then you're leaving. And in that case, that would be sort of a different way of looking at your time away. So there we go for the Four of Swords. Now let's look at the Strength card. What is this telling you today? The Strength card, let's see if I can give you a bit of a close-up here. This is very similar, again, it's very reminiscent to the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And in the RSW deck, what you'll see is a woman who's standing on her 2 feet and leaning over to the lion who has an open mouth, and her hands are on the mouth. And there's some sort of scholarly debate about whether she's actually opening the lion's mouth or keeping it closed. But she's the one who's in control. And interestingly enough, in this picture, she has her back to the lion. Even though the lion may be yawning or has his mouth open, she has her back quite confidently to the lion. And she still, in this picture, is very much in control. This is a card that talks about your inner strength. So the control that you have over the different factors that are around you and happening in your life. So although there may be some things that you that are very disagreeable, some you know, you have a handle on the beast. This is all about taming the beast. It's about spiritual strength. The Strength card will show us that the forces or things that are going on in your life may be opposing to you, but they can be controlled. And that if we change our perspective and we take a stance of gentleness, that we can influence the outcome. So she is fairly gentle here in this card, as well as in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith depiction. You're not seeing this as a lion tamer with a whip and with a shield. She's just using her bare hands, and she's looking quite elegant and poised. And it's in that way that she has control over the situation. Now, I'm just going to put this back down. Looking at the Strength card with the lion and the beautiful woman, I'm always sort of reminded of the story of the Beauty and the Beast, where in my upbringing, in my earlier university school days, where I would take some courses that focused on looking at the lore that shapes feminism, how we look at traditional stories. And I always thought, looking at the beast, where the woman comes in and all she has to do is be passive and beautiful, and that's how she's going to be taming the beast. And the feminist thought around that is, what a crock. If a man is a beast and he is abusive, then he's ugly, and no amount of being passive is going to tame that beast. So that's wherein lies the fairy tale. But when I'm studying a card such as the Strength card, I look at it in a different way, because it's not by being passive and beautiful that she is taming the beast, but that the character is being seen as a very passive character. And it's not about being beautiful. It's about being poised and composed and looking at a situation in your life in a non-violent, in a non-aggressive manner. So even though something in your life might be roaring or yawning, but certainly in opposition to the direction that you want to take, sometimes meeting it head on with aggression people become very defensive. So instead of eliciting that defensive nature in people, it's sort of more of you can get more flies with honey kind of an argument, where if you sweeten your approach, sometimes and make friends with, or try and understand and come to terms with what the other opposing side is bringing to you, that's perhaps a good way to sort of negotiate where you're going to be going, and in that way you maintain some sense of control. Here for the, maybe I should also sort of argue a bit of a shadow aspect. So if this card is more about being in control in face of your opposition, the shadow aspect could be that it's reflecting a low impulse control. So you have less control over a situation, and why that would be. And in that sense, you might want to explore why it is that you're feeling less in control. Well, I don't know what that could be for your shadow aspect. I guess there could be a lot of different things, but low impulse control, for instance, is something that I can think of. Yeah. So let's see here with the Eight of Pentacles. I'm going to bring this up a little bit closer. Right here. This is a lovely, lovely picture. I really love this. I want to be in this picture, quite frankly. So a lot of these images in this deck, gosh, I'd really love to be there. I don't know if this is big enough for you to actually see and appreciate as I'm sort of looking into what the card may mean. So the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith picture also has, let's see here, also has a character who is diligently working on one pentacle, whereas the other pentacles behind are sort of displayed in a very proud manner, saying, look, this is my work, and I'm now working on the next one of the project. This painting seems a little different in that she's not quite working on something, but you see that she is the artisan, because there is, I don't know if you can see that close, but there is a painting palette and some tools behind, and she's adoring her work. So it's not so much about I'm being meticulous about the work that I'm doing now, but that I'm looking at the work that I've done and feeling quite proud. So here with this card, you're doing one thing at a time, and in being diligent and dedicated to service, you improve with your practice, and you take pride in your work. It's about the inner worth, that sense of accomplishment that you feel. And you see that just because she has some of her crafts here, her pentacles that are on display. There's a bit of the city behind. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, it's very obscure here in the horizon beyond the lake, but in the traditional Rider-Waite, there's the city that's much more clearly visible and behind, and that shows you the connection that she has with the people. In doing her work diligently, she is contributing. She's a contributing member to society. She's giving back to the community through her work. She is systematic. She is well practiced, and because there's the image of the city behind, that other people do appreciate your work as well. The shadow aspect here could mean the sort of like the shadow aspect, for instance, of diligence could be impatience. So instead of being really meticulous about the things that you are doing and the work that's in front of you and doing one project at a time, the shadow aspect could include being impatient and trying to get things done too quickly and not so meticulously. The other part of it could be that you have such a love for your work that your life falls out of balance and that you are working too much. So you risk perhaps burnout or a disconnection with the people who are around you and who matter to you most because you were so involved with the details of your work. So that is a bit of my reflection on this reading. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them on the description or in the comments below. I really, really enjoy hearing from you. Take care and onward and upward.